a network of women who believe in their own strength. We've got about 150, just over 150 women in the WhatsApp network, and we're committed to reading a book a month, and then we review on the last weekend of the month. So for this month, we are reading Goals, a book by Brian Tracy. And today I just want to run through the book and then share my experience of the book and also the key learnings from the book itself. And I can say that this book is a personal push, if I can call it that, that will allow you to get everything that you want faster than you ever thought possible. And the three things that they mentioned at the start of the book is that you need to write down your goals, you need to make plans to achieve them, and also work on your plans every single day. I think for me, what stood out on the book was the make, plan, and work on it every single day. Because sometimes we write these goals in the beginning of the year and then we let them be. And then now it's December, and then we look at the goals and we're like, oh, shit, I should have done one, two, and three. And the important thing about this book is that it's divided into about 20 chapters, but it's small chapters that are doable, chapters that one can be able to master in a day or two and then reflect on them and also be able to apply the learnings on a day to day basis. What is important is to understand that it all starts in the mind and we have the power to create the future that we want. Another thing, when I say it's like a personal letter or a personal request, is that they speak to you. The author would say, take charge of your life, meaning that it's up to you. You take 100% responsibility of your life. And he mentions that we need to take a giant leap from childhood to adulthood. And I think this is one of the things that we tend to struggle with because even though we're adults, we want to still say we are children. And that also relates to the choices that we get to make on a day to day basis. So, this is just to say one would need to master their own fate and also practice saying that I am responsible so that we're able to live that on the day to day basis. So, this is all about creating the future and creating an own future. And I think for me, the most important part of this book was chapter three, because chapter three asks critical questions that one would need to ask themselves when building towards their goals. And with that, it speaks about creating your perfect future. So it can be in business, it can be in career, it can be in relationships, but you need to imagine what your perfect life would look like 5 years from today. And there were seven key questions that were asked, like in the future, what would it look like? What would you be doing? Where would you be doing it? And who would you be working with? What level of responsibility would you have? What kind of skills and ability would you have? What kind of goals will you be accomplishing? And what level of status would you have in your field if your career was perfect in the future? And it is important to understand that there are no limits. And this book just speaks about thinking about the ideal future and then doing life believing. So there's the aspect of knowing and also believing. So we need to extend from just knowing these things and believing it for ourselves so that we can be able to live it on a day to day basis. Another key thing was on clarifying values. So, knowing your values, finding clarity on that, and determining what the true goal is. And this is one question that we at times don't ask ourselves in terms of what we really, really want to do with our lives. So, this book allows for one to even write their own personal goals, can be personal, business, financial, family, relationship, health, whatsoever. So you get to have the small tasks that you need to focus on and be practical about it. Analyze the beliefs that you hold about yourself and also the realities and the possibility of things that can happen going forward. And another thing was the reality principle, as in you start where you are. What is the reality? And knowing what you know now, what would you do differently? And another powerful thing was that we have the power to start all over again, because at times we think we could have made better choices if we knew things earlier. But now that we know what we know, what are we planning to do going forward? Measuring progress, another key thing, and also understanding that there is the aspect of commitment, completion, and closure. So for me, what I used to struggle with was the aspect of completion. I'd commit to do something, I'll do it, and then I'll leave it 90%, 95%, and then I'll focus on other things. But learning about the importance of completing tasks and also the closure aspect, there's this tendency of not completing things. And in order to choose a stress-free life, we need to fight against these tendencies of not completing. So for some of us, it's a fight. For some, it's things that they're doing on a day-to-day basis. And we fight because there are roadblocks. And it is important that one becomes purposeful and intentional about removing this roadblocks. And at times, it's a matter of doubting the abilities that we hold about our abilities. So it is important that we become clear on the goals. If you are a professional, become an expert on your field. And another reality was that no one is smarter than you, no one is better than you. People are just better in some fields. So it is important that we master the skills and do what is necessary. Another thing was to associate with the right people. So you need to identify the right people that will help you achieve your goals. In coaching, this aspect is on the stakeholder map, where you get to put together the people that you need for you to achieve specific things in life. And the stakeholder map is association with the people that you need in order to achieve the goals. So you can be in relationships, and you need to always be willing to lend a helping hand, because the more you assist, the more people are able to step in when you need assistance. So with us, we are associated with the Literacy Association of South Africa as a book club, and then there's the Businesswomen Association, Piazza, here in Limpopo, and then there's also the Limpopo Women in Tourism. So those are some of the associations that we associate with, because those are the key stakeholders that we need in order to reach some of the goals that we've planned out for ourselves. And the other thing is to make an action plan, because similar to with business, a detailed business plan is a must. So the key thing is to understand that proper prior planning prevents poor performance. And there are numerous benefits to planning. You save time, energy, resources, money being a key resource that you save if you do planning. So it is important that we always plan accordingly, because they say sometimes the best business deals in your career are the ones that you don't get into in the first place. So it's important that when we plan, it makes sense on paper before we can even engage or go further into getting into those deals. Time management. I always say it's not time management, it's self management. And I was glad when the author spoke into this as well, and also spoke about the different quadrants that we look at in time management, about the important tasks, the urgent tasks, things that are urgent and not important, and things that are not urgent and also not important. But the key thing with time management is is that you're always free to choose. So, what is the most valuable use of your time right now? And that helps in terms of checking the things that we do on a day to day basis, and if that is the best thing that we could be doing. Another thing that I loved in this book was the importance of reviewing the goals on a day to day basis. And I did this yesterday when I read this book, and it was just talking about impressing your goals, and that it is important to write your goals more often and write them every single day. And also, we got to learn about the 3P formula that speaks about writing your goals in a positive sense, in a present sense, and also in the personal sense. To say, for example, if you want to earn 50,000 rand a month, you don't say, I want to earn 50,000 a month. Positive in the present, in the personal. I earn 50,000 rand per month by December 2020. And then this just speaks about getting the subconscious mind working, because it will do the work, it will attract the people that you need. And it's normal to be skeptical, it's normal to be doubtful when you're making this goals. But what's important is to write down the goals, write the three actions that you will need to take immediately to achieve the goals. And also, yeah, we got to be told to buy a spiral notebook. So I went to buy a notebook, a spiral one, yesterday, and that was just to put into action what I had been reading on the book. And with that, I'm going to start writing my goals tomorrow, and I just wanted to finish the book first before I can start noting them down. And with that, the power of visualizing, like visualization, so it's like a mental rehearsal or training the mind to focus on the things that we want to have. And it was important to visualize these goals more frequently and hold this mental picture for the longest time and find clarity in the mind, and also attach the emotions to it, because visualization is something that is positive. But if we choose to worry, then worry is the negative aspect of visualization. And the more we invest time into that, the more it gets to come to pass. There was something about the superconscious mind, and another key thing, or another new words even that I learned in the book, was on serendipity and synchronicity. And with serendipity, it was about making happy discoveries, and synchronicity was about giving meaning to everything in line with your goals. I was such a believer of everything happens for a reason, but now when I learned about synchronicity, I decided to take back the power and decided to just put meaning to everything in line with my goals, and to look for something good in every situation. And with that, it just speaks about being clear about everything that you want. There was another example where you could say the goal is to double the income in the next year, and then something happens and you lose your job, and then after losing your job, you find another opportunity that allows you to then double that income. So that is not a cause and effect relationship. That is you finding meaning, and also the universe working together to ensure that you achieve your particular goal, because you're very clear on the goal. And speaking to that, the matter of flexibility was also addressed in the book, to say change is unpredictable, but we need to be open and remain flexible. And if we're wrong, to admit that we're wrong. If we've made mistakes, to say I made a mistake. If you basically change your mind, you can state that you change your mind, and based on what you now know, what is the best decision that you're going to make. So it's important about being clear about the goal, and also being flexible about the process to achieving it. And as indicated, I bought my notebook yesterday, and today or this morning it was unlocking inborn creativity. And one of my values, I've got 5 values, which is truth, honor, love, creativity, and excellence. And when they spoke about creativity, this is something that I hold close because as we grow older, the aspect of creativity, people forget that this is a natural and normal ability. And if we don't use it, we lose it just like any other muscle. So, yeah, it's about asking the how question instead of just putting the goal as is. I know about brainstorming, but in the book, I got to learn about mindstorming, where you allow your mind to do the work by asking the how question. So talking about doubling the income, you can say, how can I double my income in the next 24 months? And then you write the 20 things that you can do in order to double the income. And then you review the answers, you pick one. And then on that one, you say, how can I, if for example, it's like by working an extra 2 hours, you can say, how can I get, or what can I do to get an extra 2 hours a day? And then as you do that, you write on your notebook, and then you allow your mind to come up with these different ideas that you can put into action. And another important thing was around doing something every single day. And there was a quote that says, your success in life will be in direct proportion to what you do after you do what you're expected to do. Because at times we just do the bare minimum, we just do the work that is necessary and forget that we could actually do more, and that our success starts where we decide to do something further. And lastly, the book speaks about persistence until one succeeds. And it's a matter of developing the habit of courage, unshakable self confidence, and the question that I got to answer, I can say, in August. Yes, it was in August 2020. And when I answered this question, it was phrased as, what would you do if you're not afraid? And in this book, the question was asked, what would you dare to dream or be or do if you weren't afraid of anything in this world? And there is different fears that we hold. Sometimes the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, but you need to ask yourself, what am I afraid of? And how does this fear hold me back in life? And how has this fear held me so far? And what would be the trade off or the payoff for eliminating this fear? And the important thing is the courage to start, because the more we start, the more the more doors will open for us. And lastly, the future belongs to the risk takers. So, this book for me was a personal journey, and also putting into action some of the things that I have learned or picked up in several instances but never got to really practice. So, being able to take action and also just going to buy that spiral notebook was a key action for me. And tomorrow, I'm going to write my goals. When I was reading this book, I was one of those people where they say you do the strategy for the business, you do the business plan, you put it aside, and then you run the business, you live your life, and then you just do things as and when. Act on different ideas without checking how it relates to what you had planned out to do. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be part of ImPower'd Woman Book Club, and thank you to Matema Modiba for choosing this book, and also, yeah, for the ladies in the book club for agreeing that we continue to read this book. It's a quite pricey book. At this point in August 2022, the book is going for 799 rand on Take a Lot. So we opted for Audible and also for YouTube, and we look forward to engaging this weekend on the book and how it relates to our day to day. So thank you for joining in, and yeah, do subscribe to my channel, and let's do this. Thank you.